Mm-hmm.
and and it doesn't dry all the way, and it's in a pile.
Mm-hmm.
It'll start to smell. You know, if you leave your clothes in the washing machine overnight, sometimes you
Mm-hmm.
have to wash them again. That's kind of a mildew activity. You know, it's not necessarily toxic,
Mm.
but it's not, but it's just a little sour smell from something that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Some opportunistic creature is finding the environment pleasant.
Yeah, it smells. I have this
The
experience
smell.
because like when I train and it's like all
Hmm.
sweaty, very wet, and sometimes it's leave in just a plastic bag, and
Yeah.
it's terrible because in plastic bag it's
It,
like perfect perfect conditions,
yes, perfect, perfect. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
and
Yeah,
I don't.
especially, I mean, because, it'll go anaerobic, it'll use up
Mhm.
the oxygen quickly and then really go crazy. So,
Interesting, you're kind of like expert in this in biology. It's interesting
uh,
to
yeah, I've been a
because you
dabbler. Yeah,
because I'm not that
yeah.
good in biology, like only like I don't know 1% maybe. Because regarding you're saying this mold, right? And it's kind of because recently I have experienced this problem. So there's some kind of a badly done repair, like with silicone, where there's like a
Hmm.
bathroom and the line, it should be like
Hmm.
with silica, right? Like
Hmm.
special
Yeah,
anti-mold silica,
yeah,
silicone layer. And
yeah. Some caulking for sealing a joint. Yeah,
yeah, and
sealing gaps.
there was this kind of looking like a mold or something like
Hmm.
black. And
Yeah.
I just like on surface level I like destroyed it. So
Hmm.
I think in system thinking there's like an archetype that you're doing only superficial, like this is on changes,
Yeah.
but the core problem with this mode that it's under the bathroom and okay, and
Yeah.
it's happening, and now I see strange like this layer. How do you call it? I forget.
Oh, like wallpaper or
Yeah,
vinyl.
wallpaper. It's
Yeah.
kind of getting
Yeah.
not all the sticky, so strange,
Yeah.
and then
It's
like
starting to separate.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes. And then like
Yeah.
I remembered that it's one of this like signs of mold. I
Yeah.
taking it off, mold, like
Right.
a lot of inflat, like huge, like on walls. It's crazy, and so it's
Yeah. And it has to, and much of it, is unhealthy, so it has to be dealt with carefully. But
yeah,
it's a great example. It's a great example of life finding a way.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's this really how I translate it. So it's in like in Russian. It's latania dir. It's it's an archetype. Uh,
Mm.
Wait a second. Patching holes, you know, like you only like on superficial level doing something.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. And that's
eh,
and our expectations. The more comfortable, the more separated we have been from this fundamental understanding that life in all its different forms
mhm.
is is constant. Do you hear that noise now?
A little bit.
Okay,
It's
that's the
fine.
air conditioning. The compressor just turned on. Yeah.
It's fine.
Um, the the more separated we are from an understanding of the natural world, the more surprised we are that life in all these different forms is constantly seeking to survive and thrive. And some of the ways that we've built the human built environment are ideal for some of those beings, some of those life forms. They're just invitations because they're spaces that we just don't think about what's underneath. We like things
Yeah,
pretty and attractive, and
yeah,
and we just don't realize, what that there are things that are submerged, to
yeah.
use a warm data term, and beneath our consciousness, there's a whole world of activity that that doesn't have a lot of concern for our wishes
Hmm.
or what we
Yeah,
want.
and we don't focus on it. We're just like
Mm-mm.
I am like I see in my life, like what I'm doing, what other people doing. They try to, like in Russian we have like this meme that's like we have like a tape, like this black tape for like using like electrical engineers use to like
Yep. Hmm.
isolate wire. So, and
Yeah.
in Russia, it's used like everywhere, and then it's like meme. It's like safe thing. You can like basically repair everything with this tape.
You're right. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Here we have it with what's called duct tape.
yeah, yeah, duct
It's a
tape.
it's a
Yeah, yeah.
it's a I mean, in fact, there was a comedy show out of Canada back in the 80s
Mm-hmm.
and 90s. Go look on YouTube for the Red Green Show,
Mm-hmm.
because he was hilarious talking about masculine community
Mm-hmm.
in a rural Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And one of his lines was, he would come up with these incredible projects to repair something using duct tape, and it would be just duct tape everywhere holding it. And one of his slogans was, "If the girls don't find you handsome, at least they can find you handy."
Mm-hmm.
to, to be able to fix and maintain things. And that's kind of my role here, is the old handyman on this environmental center that I'm living at now.
Yeah, and same. I like thinking about more. It's like mental model. How
Hmm.
like I think a lot of other people think that it's okay. It's working. Don't touch it. Basically, and if something's like not working or not working like it's supposed to, like only like superficial changes like duct taped, like this mold, okay, clean it, but maybe it's fine, maybe it's not like under, it's like complete like uh,
Yeah.
so and in like like in this bigger systems, it's like same
Yeah.
thinking, same thinking.
Politics,
Yeah, in politics and
urban,
everything, and
urban,
in
urban.
ecology. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, all of our systems are that way to a large extent.
we're putting duct tape, like
Yeah,
basically.
we're taping over and painting over our issues, the problems. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
only
heard a, I heard a, I heard a wonder. You've heard the term normalcy bias, right?
yes. But
I heard a
could you
very,
explain? Maybe I heard
um,
it different.
yeah. Well, normalcy is that what we experience day to day becomes our mental map or model for what the
Mm-hmm.
future is going to be. The future is going to be pretty much like the past.
Mm-hmm.
Is
Mm-hmm.
kind of what's called normalcy bias,
Mm-hmm.
and um, and and because things have been okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're all here. We're doing stuff. We're pursuing our wants and desires, and to a certain extent, we're achieving goals that we're setting for ourselves. And so everything's pretty fine. Things are okay, and 10 years from now, this is, it's going to be kind of the same. And so we make plans based on the past,
Mm-hmm.
anticipating the future to be largely like the past, or and I heard now I challenge that quite often with people, but I heard a variation of that term from somebody recently called recency bias.
Mm.
That the most recent experience, because our attention span has shrunk so
Mm.
much and our sense of
Mm-hmm.
history is so
Mm-hmm.
diminished, that we think like, what worked last week is is how the future is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
AI is getting better. Blah blah this and that. Um, my life is just more convenience. There's better apps. The fact that they're entrapping me doesn't I don't recognize. It's a great term because I've in my past with some people in conversations like this, I will say, okay, have you ever had an older car? And well, any car really. Gradually, as the brakes wear, the pedal goes a little closer to the floor over time.
Mm.
It can take months or years. We adjust to that new break point becomes our normal
Mm.
because it's such a small change
Mm-hmm.
that we don't realize that oh gee, the brake pedal is stopping an inch further closer to the floor than it did last year. We don't
Mm-hmm.
notice that small rate of change or deterioration or decline in function, and then we're surprised when one day it goes to the floor. It reaches that tipping point and suddenly there's no brakes, and we go, what happened? And and I see that gradual adjustment to the very recent conditions, and not like okay, you saw some black mold on the silicone caulk where the tub wall, where the tub and the wall meet,
Yeah, yeah.
and now it's like okay, you clean that off. Yeah, maybe there's still a little bit, maybe behind the caulk. If it's clear
Maybe
caulk, you can kind of
under,
see
but
through it.
yeah,
Underneath, yeah, it's worked under because it shrinks and temperature.
but you
And
need
now
to
you're noticing,
like
oh,
this.
wait a minute, the
Yeah.
wall's starting to the pretty surface is starting to bubble.
Yeah.
But that was happening for a long time
Yeah.
before it was noticed. And so this idea of recency bias is that the fact that things are changing, and I don't want to give it a good or a bad, but the fact that a system is changing and maybe deteriorating in its efficiency or its effectiveness isn't noticed when it's slow change. And that normalcy bias, we still think, oh, this is fine, everything's working,
Mm-hmm.
until suddenly then it reaches a tipping point, and then the system changes, and it doesn't work anymore, and it tries to reorganize into a new state.
Yeah, it's like symptomatic,
Mm-hmm.
when you're going to doctor, you can look at core issue, or symptomatic, how say, like symptomatic healing or something like.
Symptomatic, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
right, yeah, and they give so they give you a drug for a symptom, but that drug
Headache, for
interacts with
headache.
part, other,
Yeah,
yeah,
for
other
some.
part of the systems, and maybe like Tylenol is bad for your kidneys. Acetaminophen is not good for your liver. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
long-term use of acetaminophen can really damage your liver, but it can be good for headache
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
short term, or
yeah.
other, anti-inflammatories don't address the underlying cause,
Hmm. Yeah,
that which
so
is which is
it's
what's causing the inflammation.
it's height. it's height, so we forget about it. It's everything fine. Like I am
It's
with this
yeah. We
mold,
just tape.
black
Yeah,
mold. Yeah,
yeah.
tape,
We
tape,
use the
tape,
tape.
tape. Okay,
We tape it
no,
over.
yeah, not
Yeah, it's fine. We
everything
can get on with
fine.
our day the way we want to. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but
You know.
yeah, it's keep
Um,
brewing, brewing, right? And on some day
mhm.
in future,
Yeah, until it doesn't,
and
and then we
it's
go, "What happened?"
yeah, it's terrible, like to on the individual level when it's like, well, it's a problem, but not that big problem. Okay, it's just
Right.
I need to like a new repair. But when it's like on like when it's big systems like that, duct taping, like economy and so on, like this problem with inequality,
Hmm.
that's a gap going bigger and bigger, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
more and more
and it sure
people
is.
talking about it, and it's in every
Yeah.
country, like in Russia, banks
Yes.
like with this last 2 years they like 20 times more earned money from interest rates and so on, from credits this year compared to like
Mm.
3 years ago, I think.
Yeah, they've had
And
to combat inflation, right?
yeah, but it's like the more I read books like David Graeber, remember like
Hmm.
I sent some texts
Yeah.
and other guys like Michael Hudson, like this economist, and some other like Richard Werner, but mainly David Graeber. And basically,
Hmm.
they just print money. Banks just create from nothing, and
Right.
they
Yeah. Banks, they just lend the money into existence.
yeah, yeah, and they like, and then this money goes to assets purchases.
Yes.
So
Right.
to
Yeah.
the like
Yeah. The
some
privileged class get that money for low interest in the past, and they buy real things with it. And that's they use this, um, and actually the guy who uses that term recency bias is somebody who talks about this in a very hard way. This very thing we're talking about is, he talks a lot about the financial system and
who is that guy?
um, he is a crazy
Yanis Varoufakis.
professor emeritus of chemistry, a guy named Dave Collum,
Hmm.
Collum. He's at a very prestigious university um, called it's in Ithaca, New York. It's an Ivy League college, but it's an unusual Ivy League college because it's out in the woods
Hmm.
in New York State. Cornell University,
Hmm. Interesting.
um, and he claims that they still tend to hire faculty based on merit.
Hmm.
But he was a very very successful organic chemistry professor, um, and but he's semi-retired now, so he's like emeritus. But he's also been this financial tracker, and oh my God, he is such a he's hilarious if you have a lot of skepticism about government
Mm-hmm.
and about he's not progressive at all
Mm-hmm.
as far as but he's an interesting voice, and um, he talks about the overvaluing and just but the recency bias that he speaks about was a nice refinement of a concept that informed a new term for a concept that I've been familiar with, but it really frames it well for me. But yeah, he has no use for the globalist orientation. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and the idea of fiat currencies being just generated, just printed into existence or created out of by banks. This isn't going to end well. He's kind of a gold bug. He's kind of a hard assets guy too.
Hmm. But it's all it's all based like before I thought about okay gold, Bitcoin, and so on. But with David Graeber
Hmm.
book, it's goes much
Yeah,
deeper. Basically, money it's a debt,
much
and
deeper, right?
what you like accept that's its money. So it's like it doesn't matter
Yeah,
gold or what we believe that you Mark take from me.
right.
This is money. So it's not
Yeah,
gold. It's like okay, it's used in some like engineering cases, but it's not that's valuable. It's valuable because we believe. But
it's yeah, and for many people in even within many cultures and even across cultures, it's a more foundational agreement. It's an older agreement on value. It doesn't mean it's absolute value, but when the printed money fails, many humans will go to agreeing that certain things have value for exchange.
it's how we perceive like it's how I thought that
Hmm.
at first was like gold coins and then was like credit this printed money.
Right.
But like if we were believed like this anthropologist professor like David Graeber, there was like
Hmm.
no barter.
Right.
Adam Smith, like, and this
Well,
economy, right? This like kind of
yeah.
science.
Right.
Basically, he
Well,
debunks it.
yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
based on barter. That's okay. There's like Homo economicus. It's again model of humans. That's we are 100% rational creatures. That everything we do it's in order to like barter for something to
Right.
get ahead of you, and it's
Right.
like this Homo economicus, we spend all our time. And it's based in their models and economies. They see this
Right.
world,
Yeah.
and but Graeber says, okay, what? Where is war? Where is sex? Where is like revenge? Where is like dance? Where is ritual? Where is
Yeah.
like art?
Exactly.
Like some
Yeah.
symbolic god. It's not in their
Yeah.
model, so it's like complete
No, no, it's
bullshit.
not.
And barter, like Adam Smith based it's like in his book, if you read it, okay, imagine this indigenous tribes where they okay,
Yeah.
I give you that, you give me that, and it's based on barter. No,
Hmm.
like anthropologists studied that, and basically at first it was like it's basic communism. So from each according to their like needs, and to
Yeah.
everybody according to their ability. So you need something, right? Like potatoes. Okay, I give you. And but
Hmm.
for example, you make boots, and maybe my wife in 2 months. I just like in our like talk,
Hmm.
like mentioning it, and you just gifting it, and it's like all in a head. So like this depth. So and but it's in like small communities, right? Like at
Hmm.
first,
Hmm.
originally. So originally it was like virtual monies, basically
Yeah.
debt,
Well,
and
yeah.
then only like with like when it was rise of empires, like when there's like armies, when there's like um, you need like you need to supply soldiers with some stuff, with food and so on. And it's hard to when it's centralized to how would I say to keep like your like farms, your like armories. Better to decentralize. So basically, you know what you do? You print these coins, like
Hmm.
melt it, or how a smelting process.
You Well, you yeah, you extract the metal, you smelt the metal into a
Yeah,
finer
coins. Yeah,
form, and
base
then you form it, you mint it, you press it into something
minted. Yeah, minted. This
representational.
word.
You mint it, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So
yeah,
you basically give it to your soldiers and
yeah.
say to other people, okay, you need to return this coin. So you need to get this coin. You say to all these peasants, but this coin's only in soldiers. When soldiers go somewhere, like I don't know, south, and
Hmm.
all peasants, they need these coins in order to pay
Hmm.
10%, right?
Right. So they have to
After
give their resources in
they have
exchange.
to, yeah, they
Yeah,
have to start like some kind of exchange, like
right.
chicken and so on, maybe swords,
Yeah,
shields, and so on. And basically, it's to Graeber says to like first it's like this war machine in order to supply war
hmm,
machine. It's all minting
right.
in order to
Yeah,
people be indebted
yes,
to because they don't need this money. They he says in all like our like history they how say they lived perfectly, but then somebody with power, with violence, with gun, he says it's all basically how say stays on power of gun. Now it's like what's
well,
it's
of a
like
weapon. Yeah,
no,
yeah,
no. I
yeah.
mean, like now it's like drones or like in US or all
Oh
these
yeah, yeah.
fleets,
It's
10,
yeah,
10 or what,
yeah,
15 fleets. Basically, it's all based on barrel of a gun. So it's
yeah.
interesting how like
It's yeah, and the funny thing is that it arises from us from the ability to create food surplus because
hmm
food surplus agriculture is sort of the core of it.
hmm
Once you create, once you have a surplus of calories
hmm
of nutrition that you can store, that increases the security against the unexpected weather and different things. So once you have a store of nutrition, a surplus of nutrition, then babies only come from one thing. Babies only come, babies come from food.
hmm
If there's a famine, women stop being, they lose, their period stops, they can't get pregnant
hmm
if there's not sufficient nutrition flowing through the system. And so, and so hunter gatherers couldn't carry much with them,
hmm
so they didn't have great stores. They were in a more of a direct, real time exchange with their environment for their mutual benefit, which was often um, encoded in ritual, where there was offerings made, there was worthiness of the humans, so that the spirit of whatever animal or food source would 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 offer some of their children up so that the humans could eat because of this ritual relationship of worthiness and reciprocity.
hmm
But when you when humans found ways to increase the availability of calories and nutrition, then
hmm
you ended up getting more people. And then once you have a way of storing food at some scale, the that sense of abundance seems to alter the consciousness of the population. And a couple of things seem to happen is that people start kind of competing more in status and power for influence and control and a bigger share of that abundance. And you start getting um, it shifts from this mutual dependency on the natural world to thinking that we have some mastery over it because we're eliciting more from the living system than we need today, and certain that changes the consciousness of the community,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have to have then somebody has to be in charge of how that surplus is used.
Yeah, yeah.
And so you start getting this hierarchy, I mean, a more
Hierarchy, yeah.
distinctly hierarchical difference. And then if somebody's in charge and somebody else doesn't like it, then you have to have some intermediary police force that enforces the
Yeah,
system
yeah, yeah.
of regulation and distribution and reward. and and then when you get big enough, you have to start reaching further out to get the resources you need because you've overrun your local area's capacity, the carrying capacity. I mean, a city by definition is a community that has exceeded the carrying capacity of its location,
Mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm,
so there
mm-hmm,
has to be it has to start taking resources from further and further away,
mm-hmm.
and and they can afford to do that for a while, but because you go and you've got metallurgy and you have weapons and you have the threat of violence and you can make people who are living in the older way submit to your will
Yeah.
by your military and your people, and you extract resources from them, their taxes or whatever, but at some point it gets too big to sustain. The cost benefits start to break down.
I
It costs too
yeah.
much to keep enforcing your will at a distance, and
Mm-hmm.
those people are resentful and they try and undermine your position. And eventually, the people in the center get so deluded with their own security that they've taped over everything that's going wrong, which
Yeah.
could arguably be said about the West today.
Yeah, it's possible. I liked how you described it because it corresponds with Lewis Mumford,
Hmm.
myth of machine. In his
Yeah,
book, he perfectly describes like all he like this how mega machine like was created, and basically yes, like we aggregate in more like in cities, and there's like was invention of power, of
yeah,
hierarchy. So
yeah.
and basically first, so it's like on two pillars stays.
Hmm.
It's on first violence, right? Hunters, because
The
they
monopoly of violence.
yeah, monopoly
Monopoly of
of violence.
violence, and the violence can only be allowed to flow down the hierarchy.
Yeah, and he lays it out like that hunters,
Yeah.
which had like this experience and weapons, and second, it's like symbolic. It's the priests, this
Hmm.
who watched at stars and predicted because
Yeah.
before there was like no order, and then they have like this kind of
There
magic
was no
power.
perception. There was no encoded perception of the order.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And they
Yeah.
it's like take this perception, like way of thinking, and apply it to humans. So
Yeah.
that it's like when you take some kind of theories from physics or chemistry, which like focuses on mm, how to say like not on living systems, right? On that matter, and you apply
Hmm.
it to humans, which is
Hmm.
basically living systems, and
Yep.
and they like see stars order, okay, and then you will build pyramids and will be like cogs in a machine, and this
Yeah.
was like symbolic value, how like
Yeah.
building narrative. It's very important because first people imagine they like hear, okay, now sun goes like dark, but they like predicted like future
Right.
because of how it was, and
Right.
it's like two pillars, so violence,
Yeah.
right, and priests. And now it's like
Yeah.
instead of priests, scientists, like we saw in
Yes.
COVID, Fauci,
Yeah.
Yeah, we know
Yeah.
better.
Yeah. So it it's um, and both things have value. I mean, observate
Yeah.
the power of observation. I mean, even hunter gatherers were very empirical.
Mm-hmm.
They were testing reality
Mm-hmm.
in order to achieve goals, and they would get mental. I mean, they would get mental maps of um, relationships.
Yeah. What's poisons,
Because
what's not, a lot of contexts.
at this time of year, okay, we find this particular um, plant edible. We we find tubers, sweet potatoes, or root vegetables. As we move through our territory, our hunter gatherer migrating, like most animals, seasonally move through a territory. They would notice, okay, this time of year at this season, we can find this food over here, and so we keep going back to that spot, and and then so we eat some, you know, we we roast some potatoes, at that time of year. And Native Americans often had, tribal peoples often have seasons and the recurring patterns of the moons. The way the moon looks, sometimes colored, larger, those would be connected to fertility, the abundance of the natural world. It was like, well, well, we still have like the harvest moon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do they have that in, that's a kind of
Mm-hmm.
a Russian concept also.
Mm-hmm.
So these patterns of the cyclical repeated patterns in the natural world were integrated into the mental map of the humans because they had to be intimate with that system,
Mm-hmm.
and that intimacy and dependency and sense making of how we exist together was a whole different kind of thing from, so it's a form of empiricism. It's observation, and it is kind of a predictive system,
Mm-hmm.
but it was far more, I mean, it was far less, it was much more relational and metaphorical than reductionist cause
Mm-hmm.
and effect. It was, if that makes any sense, but it was very empirical. It was repeated observation, confirmation of, yeah, we know this is going to happen every year, and so oftentimes there would be rituals and ceremonies assigned to those times, those seasons, and there was an alignment with those natural cycles because there was no illusion about being independent from it.
Mm-hmm. And he lays out it's like most important thing was like a ritual, like and symbolic,
Yeah,
like values of people, not only like
yeah,
bread, like what you so like money, you're like earning money
hmm,
or something, which now like
yeah.
world focuses a lot, but some like rituals, symbolic, and now it's like less and less. And what I thought, you said about this terminology like recency, right?
Recency bias.
Recency bias, yeah. And it's interesting how it works, because today, in this day and age, people all can't be bored. They always scroll.
Right. Yeah.
Found like it myself to listen to some podcast or something, and
Yeah.
like in other people they are more and more, and it's all this context, it's changing very
Yeah.
what is very fast, and we can't stay like most, I think, younger generations with being like bored, quiet, because then people start to question like what I'm doing, what's the meaning of life, all this, thoughts, like what is
Hmm.
happening, and it's easier to like to scroll, to put
Yeah.
something, to not to produce something, right, but to
Right.
consume
Yeah.
information. And
Hmm.
it's leading us, I don't know where. It's like people
Yeah.
can't focus on something important, because okay,
Hmm.
they are outraged about, I don't remember, I think I heard
Yeah.
about it something, or Daniel, or in Nate Hagens,
Hmm.
about that people, okay, they're outraged about like climate or something, about plastic that's everywhere, about healthcare, about inequality, and then they see like, I don't know, kittens or something, other
Yeah.
context. Okay,
Yeah.
completely
Like,
flashed,
right. Yeah.
forgotten.
And yeah, and so there's this wild back and forth between outrage and um, and soothing distraction.
Yeah.
You know, having to, and so there's this bouncing back and forth that people are in, and I'm subject to it as well. Um,
But you remember,
uh,
the thing which is important,
yes.
and for me, I remember how it was without phone.
Yeah.
But now they don't have this experience.
No.
Completely, I see like moms, they give like 5 years old, 4 years old with phone, and all this
Yeah.
play something, TikToks, and everybody in Moscow metro, like everybody in a phone.
Yeah. Everybody's. Yeah. Yeah.
They don't
I know.
have even
It's
this experience like with being without phone. Well, except
no.
of tech bros who own these tech companies, and their
Yeah. They don't let their
children.
children do this.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Right.
yes, yes. Like in
Yeah. Yeah.
this,
They send them to Steiner school, to Waldorf school,
yeah.
which are deeply experiential, and yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. They know exactly what they're doing. Um, and that's kind of a sociopathic behavior. It's a very predatory behavior of of class, uh, sort of technical class,
Hmm.
um, and yeah, um, there is a great deal of um, conscious manipulation of the masses, which we've talked about some. I mean,
Hmm.
I I came across a very interesting. I think I've talked about Simon Michaud and maybe sent something to you one time about this Australian mining engineer who
Hmm.
has gotten really involved in trying to figure out how to pilot, keep the best of the modern society, modern technologies and knowledge, but go back in, in the face of ecological collapse. How might it be possible to preserve a way of life in smaller communities that doesn't lose the fundamental technological advances that have been developed over so many generations? And he started out as a mining engineer in Australia, then moved further into materials, got a PhD, I think, I think his PhD is actually in like the geophysics
But
of.
what his approach like in engineering? Because I think it's not solvable by engineering. It's like about
No, no,
mental
no,
models.
no, no. It's he's in the same ballpark as like Daniel.
Hmm.
but he's a little more applied to trying how do we not throw the baby out with the bathwater
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and so he actually his trajectory was like I said he's probably pushing 60 now. A
Mm-hmm.
very vibrant, very funny guy, very Australian, um, and but he went from the mining industry. His PhD, I think, was on the geophysics of like open pit mining and how they control the explosive charges
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to blow
Inside.
sections of the ground away so it can be scooped up and carried away.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a highly systemic thinker, socially and emotionally and in the physical realm. He ended up going and he migrated to the Netherlands and the Belgium area for a while, where he got very involved in the circular economy
Mm-hmm.
and the donut economy kind of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And for the past number of years, he's been a fellow with the Finnish Geological Survey um, government agency, and doing a lot of resource analysis and systemic distribution and political. And but he on the side, he got involved in trying to formulate um, ways that um, we could preserve some metallurgy and manufacturing and small scale things, but also developing cohesive community alternative in the face of looks like severe ecological challenges.
Yeah, we can all develop it, but it's all be, I think, subjected to a capitalist system to extract maximum resources, like for profit.
Right.
And like
And
Daniel talks, like life whale or like life tree, like it doesn't. There's no like value, like price. But like
yeah.
cotton tree, there's like price on the market. That
Oh
well,
yes.
it
Right.
it's so it's all like this excess of this current system. They're not aligned with like well Earth. It's like it's
Right.
to extract maximum resources. Well, maybe okay. We like in Avatar find another planet.
No, he's not in that realm. No, no,
No, I mean like
no.
okay, then
Yeah,
the current
yeah,
systems it's fine if we will like expand and but now
yeah,
it's all we're doing. I see like good minds, engineers, like people like in my reading club, like head of development, they're developing okay, Bext user experience, user interface to sell flowers, like
yeah. No, no, no.
websites, applications, all these
Yep.
games like Fruit
Oh
Ninja.
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
all goes to consumption. Not it's not.
Correct. Yeah, no. He's completely contrary to that.
Mhm, mhm,
Um, but what he recently looked at was he got interested in China
mhm,
in and he recently did a couple, he, he did a deep dive into China's history. There because he dealt with China quite a bit when he was back in the Australian mining business,
mhm, mhm.
because China was basically Australia's biggest customer
Backyard.
for coal, and and so he went and he was looking. He says, what is China?" And he started finding these long term planning documents and
Mhm,
this
mhm.
and he went back and he realized that China has been engaged in, well, how he describes it is that, are you familiar with the game of Go?
Yes, yes.
Okay. How he puts it is the Eurocentric world or the West or most of modernity, the power games between the hierarchies of the West, they play chess.
Mm-hmm.
The idea is to overthrow the symbolic head, to take the king and to take the land.
Mm-hmm.
He says Go is all about gaining control of territory
Yeah, yeah,
without
yeah.
that kind of
Yeah, I
conflict.
played it
And
a little bit.
yeah, I've played it.
It's
Yes, yeah,
yeah.
and he says Go will always beat chess
Mm-hmm.
as a worldview. And he says China has been involved in a game of Go based on a bunch of their philosophies about conflict, like the Sun Tzu's Art of War and that kind of thing, where the idea is to gain control of territory and resources without your opponent realizing it's been done. And he says this began with Chairman Mao
Mm-hmm.
in the 50s, that they actually have a 50-year plan to gain control. It, he says all metal refining is now based in China.
Mm-hmm. You
They
know,
ref,
yeah, yeah, yeah. And you know that's interesting. That's thought compared chess versus Go.
yeah,
There's like no symbolic, like, because in chess there's like king, like this horse, and it's kind of, it's a
yeah,
beautiful myth. And in Go it's just like peasants, no, like stones, right? So it's like all
yeah,
like gray, and they, it's kind of, and Chinese lacks this, like god and so on, symbolic some kind of value, maybe a more, it's like if it's we take like ancient Chinese thought, like that focus on process, not on
hmm,
a goal. Yeah, and Western thought like more like the ideal world, like these ideas, and
yeah,
when you, how say, like when you're in relations to your ideal, to idea,
yeah.
what's happening, there's, it gets to you like disintegration, like it's your system, it's how streams, it's want to integrate with this ideal, like you're like laying some kind of map, like
Hmm,
ideas, like honor, I don't know, like wisdom, something, and you trying to integrate, whereas Chinese more like this, I don't know, like maybe naturalistic. But now it's all like this school of thoughts, it's all like there's no like, how say, like it's all mixed. And recently I watched a Chinese girl, she speaks fluent Chinese, she's like a blogger, and she like conveys kind of very interesting picture of like inside I can send you Shikanaka or something, inside
yeah,
Chinese
yeah,
society, how
yeah.
it's like kind of without meaning, and it's all, it's okay, they have like this all the stuff, but there's like no meaning, kind of, it's all on like material plane, and people like going crazy, they don't have like treat animals like shit, like on watching in
Hmm,
TikTok how they like beat dogs or something, chilies. So it's kind of, it's like kind of without symbolic value, kind of humans there's kind of getting sick, but
And that
on
could
like
that could be an obstacle, or that could be a barrier to what Simon contends they've been trying
but
to.
it's everywhere,
I
but
would,
in Chinese it's more because they don't have like
yeah.
still in Western, like in Europe, in US, in Russia, in some way still like Soviets, they haven't destroyed it all, right? The
Yeah.
religion and so on, some
Hmm,
mythology, and people
yeah.
like when 90s came, everybody, okay, there's like thousands of some kind of charters of some kind of, like this mythology, Perun, it's like Zeus, how to say, like in Greek mythology, with
Oh,
Zeus.
period. No, wait a minute.
In Greek mythology, with thunderbolts guy, Zeus, Zeus, uh, Zeus, Z-E,
Oh, Z. Yeah, Zeus, the
yeah, yeah.
supposedly the top god in the pantheon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
mythology and pantheon in
yeah,
our
yeah.
like it's same. It's like in Italy, in Rome, just different names. In Russia, it's like
Right.
Perun and so on. And
Okay.
everybody went after Soviet to this like kind of to the meaning.
Okay.
And
They went back to the
they
older forms,
no
the older archetypal forms.
some fight Orthodox religion, some.
Yeah.
I don't know, like Buddhism or something, other stuff, some like self development as a new religion, because a lot of guys from US or something came and they say, okay, everything in your helps,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
self help
Yeah.
books. It's kind of a new religion,
Okay.
and so yeah. Regarding Chinese, it's interesting how.
They've kept so much of that controlled,
Mhm.
um, and I know that there's increasing amounts of demonstrations and unrest. China has demographic issues that the West is just beginning to experience, as declining birth rates and um, a disillusion of the importance of family. Um, getting, I mean, there's in most of the developed world, we're all facing this declining birth rate.
Yeah.
There's fewer workers to support people like me,
And how crazy it
and
in Russia and Ukraine. It's not only birth rate, but people killing each other. And like last
yeah,
date or something, 1,700,000 or 600 Ukrainians, like male, able, like men and young,
yeah,
killed, died, and so on. And
yeah, and there's some discussion as to whether that's a fabricated
yeah, it
leak.
can be,
Whether
but
they
I
don't.
think like 1 million
But I do believe that I mean, I listen
both.
to a fair no. I'm rather un-American because I listen to like Mersheimer.
Mhm.
I listen to.
Very
I understand.
un-American, not supporting
Well,
Israel.
I'm
Very
un-American
bad.
because I'm un-American because I think that the war in Ukraine has largely been the result of mismanaging the aftermath of the Cold War by the West and by the United States in particular and Britain. When the Soviet Union went through its collapse and the decades, my sense is, I mean, paid some attention to it.
But
The
why? Why?
military just
Why?
well, there was the adversarial and the two things happened. One was the the Western capitalist mindset went in, basically invaded Russia, trying to exploit the fuck out of it.
But it's it's all if because we say every time I say like okay, Russia, US, UK, and so on, but it's real people. It's like countries. It's only ideas. Some people they have some kind
They're
of actions, right? They have thoughts,
right. Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
military industrial complex. They need enemy.
They
Who's
do.
gonna enemy if we will like in Europe live
If you don't
perfectly
have an
well?
enemy anymore,
Yeah,
yeah, our industry goes away. We're out of business.
yeah. So why
Yeah,
it's Russia perfect because all this Cold War propaganda and now like Russia
it,
Gate, so it's
it was
perfect.
still perfect, absolutely,
Yeah,
and violating the pledges not to expand NATO. Um, I mean, the 90s in Russia was horrible economically, socially. Um, and, and the West did not really cultivate the opportunity for good relations.
You know that it's interesting because this is this case of this all this neoconservative like libertarian and how it doesn't works. I mean, when market basically it's like okay, no socialist, completely like market system, like capitalist system without any how I say like weights, counterweights, because
Yeah,
in
regulation or
Europe there's
restraint. Without
there's
restraint, yeah,
there's kind of restraint, and in Russia it's completely a capital system, and it's like a mob mafia, okay, and it's based, we know, capital mostly on violence, right? Because if you have gun, you can come French to Madagascar and say, okay, you need to build roads because
hmm,
we need to extract from your from plantations, we build you electricity. Madagascarian people say, well, no, we don't need, we have our gods, we're symbolic, we like lay on beach, we are fine. No, 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 you need
yeah, yeah,
roads,
yeah.
you
You
need,
need
and
roads, right?
you need money. Why you don't have money? And they applied
Right.
civilized, it's called civilized taxes on them, to in order to teach them manners, these Africans. So, and
Yeah,
they need to pay it,
right.
paid it in French, I forget, it's
Yeah.
like currency. And who is not agreeing, they were like killed. So that's
Yes.
like
Oh,
a
yeah.
basis. And in Russia it's like was like basically who like stronger survives, weaker dies. And now we have all
Mhm.
this people in US who say that it's like USSR. They don't understand like shit, because like in Russia it's mostly capitalist system. It's like
Yeah.
without any counterweights, like in other
Oh, okay.
countries. So
Yeah.
the stronger takes all. So it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Part of it is that perversion of Darwin's theory of evolution that was transformed into social Darwinism, where the by Spencer during the Industrial Revolution, the real heyday of the Industrial Revolution in the late 1800s, where Darwin's message of collaboration, of fitting in, being fit to a situation, fitting a niche, collaboration in the environment, was turned into that was was co-opted and marketed as the survival of the fittest, the strongest, dominate in the social, and was used to really propel perhaps humans' worst instincts or worst impulses in the economic system.
yeah, and it
Um,
reminds me in regarding Theodore Dreiser, earlier days of US, Financier and Titan. Theodore
mhm.
Dreiser he wrote, and he say
Oh yeah,
about this Frank Capperwood and how it was like, and there was in US there were no laws against bankruptcy, and it's like
mhm.
I think it's US one of the last countries that implemented this law. With bankruptcy you can go bankrupt, because before you can't. Even now you can't bankrupt on debt, like student debt,
Oh,
right?
student loans. Yeah, you can't
Yeah,
get out of
student.
those.
And
No,
in
and that is enslaved a generation.
yeah, 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 and it's
That, that
depth. It's very
yeah.
deep. Think about this. It's a Graeber book that he goes like, because
Mhm.
okay, in 2008 crisis, like whole community, basically with money of community, a government saves a AIG, like this.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
co-
right. Yeah,
yeah, and
right.
like
AIG was having these debt swap securities that, I mean, they were insuring bullshit
yeah,
financial instruments.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, ordinary people go to jail. Like he
Yes.
writes in book, and I thought, well, it's crazy. Okay, on your mortgage,
Mhm.
you can go to
Yeah.
jail, and in some states, really, people went to jail. So ordinary
Well, there used to
people,
be debtors. There were debtors' prisons all over the place.
yeah, yeah.
If you couldn't pay debt, you go to prison, and until you could pay. And of course, you couldn't pay in prison either.
Yeah, but why some debtors, like debt AAG
Yeah.
and banks, they get
Yeah.
saved? Too big to fail?
Too big to fail.
Yeah,
Right.
why
Yeah.
ordinary people, Americans, they like moms and pops, they got
Right. Oh yeah.
to jail. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. No soup for you.
yeah.
But it's like, yeah. Well, that's a reference to a famous Seinfeld episode. But
Uh-huh.
um, the
There are still jails or no? Uh,
no, no, actually, no. In some states in the United States, um, if a father falls behind in making their child support payments
mm-hmm,
for a child they may not have wanted, but you know
mm-hmm,
they had a good time with a woman for a while, and now there's a child
mm-hmm.
that results,
Yeah, yeah,
and it's all his fault, um, because he's the man, right?
yeah.
Um, and there's no mutual responsibility really,
Mm-hmm,
financially anyway.
mm-hmm,
And so in some jurisdictions of the United States, if a man falls behind in what the court has decided he has to pay every month,
mm-hmm,
he can lose his driver's license.
mm-hmm,
It can be suspended, which makes it difficult to hold a job in this country because
mm-hmm,
public transportation is not all that
mm-hmm,
great. Um, and in some cases, they can go to jail for like a contempt of court by not complying with the order,
mm-hmm.
and they can spend some time in jail for non-payment of that particular obligation.
What about in general about debt, like mortgage or something?
No, 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 no. You can be sued, and you can have your income guaranteed. The court can take your money from your paycheck if you have a regular job. That has a tendency, but no, no, no. We don't have. We do have. So
Um,
people can go to jail. Some communities that well, Ferguson, Missouri was where the Black Lives Matter
mhm,
movement supposedly began in Ferguson,
mhm,
Missouri. The U.S. Justice Department stepped in and took over their police force because what they were doing was they were, as a way to get revenue for the community, they would issue tickets. They did a lot of traffic enforcement. And
mhm,
so they would issue tickets to poor people in particular, and very often people of color. And what would happen is they wouldn't be able to make their court date, or they would fall behind in paying their fines, and the fines would increase
mhm,
because they weren't paying them on time, and then they could go to jail for that.
mhm,
And so there were some jurisdictions in the U.S. that were using that as a way of controlling uh, let's say from a controlling part of the population based on their race, and
mhm,
and also as a way of entrapment into financial obligation that could lead to going to jail for non-payment under a contempt of court, non-compliance with the
mhm.
legal system. It wasn't, you know, they can't put you in jail anymore for bankruptcy or for being indebted in the normal ways. But they but there are some areas that can make life very, very unpleasant and increase your poverty by systemically putting debt on you from the
Mm-hmm.
legal system.
Mm-hmm. What about student debt? Could you go to jail? No?
Well, student debt, that's about to become that's becoming a new economic crisis in this country because during COVID, student debt was suspended
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because during lockdowns and people weren't working. So for the most part, interest just piled up, just
Mm-hmm.
accumulated on the debt, but you weren't obliged to make any payments. And
Mm-hmm.
Biden tried to delay that um, because the university system in the United States has become so corporatized.
Mm-hmm.
It has become a massive industry that's based on student debt.
Mm-hmm.
It's another example of the overproduction of elites
Mm-hmm.
because in many universities now there are more administrators than there are faculty.
Mm-hmm.
So, so, so the bureaucratic side of university has become such a parasitic cost on that system that used to be more about education and it's now become a cash cow for a class of elites of the administrative class, and their supply chain is student debt, is getting people going to university who have no business going to university,
Mm-hmm.
pursuing degrees that won't lead to a viable
Bullshit jobs, as Graeber coined.
bullshit jobs. Yes.
Yeah.
And so now there's this class of indentured servants that have accumulated, who bought the story, the narrative about you have to go to college and you can study any kind of bullshit field. You know, you can get your degree in basket weaving or whatever, or gender studies and all things. You know, postmodern studies.
Mm-hmm.
That and so you can do that, and your life will be so rich. Except now they've got because there's no portion of our lower school education that deals with money.
Mm-hmm.
Almost no. I mean, there's really no systemic education in how to manage money in this country, and
That's just
families
a
don't do it.
coincidence. Just coincidence.
The what? Oh, the Keynes.
No, no. How to say? Coincidence. Coincidence. How to say? Like it's
Oh,
just. It just happens. There's not nothing suspicious here.
oh,
You
yeah.
know.
That's just a coincidence.
Yeah.
Yes, right. And so a lot of families are not very savvy. My family wasn't good with money,
Mm-hmm.
and so I didn't see that model. And I didn't have a class on how a checking account works or how credit works. Nobody there's I mean, there may be an elective class that some kids in high school might take that might introduce them to the financial system some, but there's no education. Um, the system seems to have evolved to produce a couple of generations of sheep to be shorn by the financial
Mm-hmm.
powers. And part of that has been this university system that has become increasingly expensive. Oh, but the government will give you loans to go to university. But oh, by the way, these are not dischargeable. These are permanent obligations you cannot get out of. And so now um, the average, I guess the average first time home buyer in the United States is almost 40 years old.
Mm.
I mean, it used to be in the 20s,
And
40 years
people,
ago.
and people say billionaires like Elon Musk why you're not
Yeah.
making babies? You know
Well, yeah.
yeah,
I,
why are not
well,
making
you can,
birth rates and
exactly.
so
Yeah.
on?
Yeah. Yeah. Musk has
How,
got like what, 10 or 11 children now? The
no,
comedian Eddie Murphy has got like 12 children.
yeah, I mean when you don't have a house like flat,
You can't have it. Yeah.
no girl would
And if you
like
can't
go.
afford childcare,
Yeah.
if childcare is like a car payment.
So mostly it goes back again to this problem with debt, with
Yeah.
money. All this birth
Uh,
rates collapsing, wars,
Everything.
and
Yeah.
so on. It's like even when I read about like how debt, in again in Graeber books, how it like affects human conscious about Cortez when he went to like to South America, he was very indebted to his like Spanish helpers, and
Hmm.
it's like why all this, you know, how to say, kind of he was not that nice with local people.
Well, no, actually, Columbus made several voyages, and in total,
No, no, I mean
he
Cortez.
took
Cortez.
Cortez. Okay, but I was thinking that even Columbus,
Mm-hmm.
who was financed by the Spanish, right?
Mm-hmm.
The way he paid off his obligation was he brought over several cruises, voyages of more ships each time. He brought back like 3,000 slaves to
Mm-hmm.
Spain.
Mm-hmm.
That was his remuneration. That was
Mm-hmm.
how he financed and how he paid off his obligation to the Spanish court
Mm-hmm.
that financed his cruises. I mean, they were investing in exploration and
Yeah.
dominance. They were hoping to get to China.
Mm.
They weren't looking. They didn't know that there was this thing in the
Yeah.
way. They were looking for a way to get around the Portuguese control of the trade
Yeah.
route to the
Yeah.
east.
Yeah. Yeah.
Spain wanted to see if they could just go straight west and get there. And
Yeah.
then it turned out, oh, look, there's this big island in the way,
Yeah.
this,
Good
this
enough.
you,
Good enough.
yeah, okay, I guess, I guess we'll check this out and see what we
Yeah.
can make of this. And it was kind of an interesting accident.
Yeah, and you know how it like depth affects you, and I know there's like in popular pop culture.
I'm going to pour some more coffee.
Yeah,
I'll be
yeah,
right back.
yeah. There's like pop in culture. There's like this TV series about depth. It's Squid Game, very popular
Oh, I have.
from South
Okay.
Korea. From South Korea, and
Yeah.
it's all like what people
It's all
do.
about debt.
Yeah, it's basically they're all people there that's like playing in this like game,
Uh-huh.
very vicious game, for money because
Mm.
they're indebted. So is this like
Oh, wow.
sales guy kind of okay? You can make some money. He approaches only like these desperate, indebted people. So you
Oh,
know,
wow.
like I see like
Oh, so
that's.
so they'll take these risks and they'll engage in vicious behavior to try and get some debt relief.
Yeah, they're trying to like to exploit because debt, like this feeling state of mind, it's not all this
Yeah.
perfect, and people do all of the crazy stuff when they're indebted.
So
And
it's a little like the gladiators, huh? Back
yeah,
in,
yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah,
from
yeah,
debt
yeah.
enslavement.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, right. There's gladiator. Yeah, it's go all backs and like all mainly revolutions, right? They like first they completely how they scratched all the records of debt.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
mainly it's not about, you know, all this okay LGBT versus like right versus nationalist. Mainly
It's a big
all like
distraction.
it's
Yeah.
yeah it's distraction. It's like ultra rich who control like all the planet resources, and rest
Yeah.
of all 99.9% of population. And it's
Disposable.
yeah, yeah, and that's why very like wise people, like we talked about jubilee, right?
Right.
Jubilee.
Yeah.
It's like when you
Which,
like forget
mhm.
all debts, so you're like
Yeah, you reset things every generation.
yeah, you reset. But now we don't have it. Not in
Right.
Russia, not in US, not in China.
And I don't think the Jubilee was ever implemented consistently.
Hmm. It's only when people, what
I
they
think it
can
was a
do.
good idea.
Yeah, yeah, they can like take active violent action against like king.
Right.
They can
Yeah.
left, right, go to the like Jews from Egypt, right, or like
Hmm.
other tribes against this
Yeah.
like mega machine that wants to enslave them, and install
Hmm.
something new,
Yeah.
and what else, and leave and escape in a symbolic world, for example in
Hmm.
religion. And
Hmm.
mainly he thesis very interesting about Graeber. He like okay, and he researches all these cycles, and
Hmm.
birth of all like main religions was one this like how I say, like a lot of oppression, and people need to
Hmm.
like escape in some
Yeah.
kind of imaginary world. And okay,
Yeah.
it's fine, like you integrate it, your state of mind is good, because yeah, like I live in poverty, but will be in heaven or something,
Yes. Right.
right?
Well, that was the whole basis. I mean, are you familiar with like Bob Marley and the Rastafarians of Jamaica?
Kind of I heard some
Well,
songs, but not
it,
like yeah.
okay. Well, there was a religion that was invented in Jamaica
Mm-hmm.
in the Black Ghetto
Mm-hmm.
in the hardship area, Rastafarianism, and they took from the Bible,
Mm-hmm.
and their sacrament is they were they were obliged to start the day smoking marijuana and to be stoned all the time, to
Complete
just smoke
escape.
smoke pot all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and that was a sacrament.
Mm-hmm.
And they invented this. There was the last king of Ethiopia was a guy named Haile Selassie,
Mm-hmm.
and they made him the Messiah. And there was this whole liturgy, or this whole belief system that would elevate this oppressed population in Jamaica
Mm-hmm.
into a special cohort, and there was this whole expected homecoming, going back to Africa and
Mm-hmm.
being welcomed. And Haile Selassie was like the Messiah and the guide, and it was the dreadlocks, and there was and the Rastafarians still exist,
Mm-hmm.
and they got really big on the apocalypse, and the end times, and the being the chosen, that go through, the tribulations that are in like the Book of Revelations. They wove all kinds of things together: African lore, Christian fundamental, just all kinds of things into this um, worldview that was very cohesive, because they were an oppressed population. And oppression really drives people together if they can craft a belief system around it that elevates them in their own minds.
I know
And that sounds
about
like what, yeah.
Haiti, Gaiti, we call it, about, and
Oh, the Haitian, yeah, yeah.
Jamaica same, like by French, and then other country like US, they blockaded
No,
them.
Jamaica was British,
Oh,
British
okay,
colony.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, Haiti had been French, um,
And then other
and
big guys blockaded them too, like.
well, Haiti was unique, and it was the only successful slave revolution that was able to stay free.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
French were not able to regain control of them, and as a result, um, the, all the European and the
Embargo, I
United
think. Yeah,
they basically embargoed them. Yeah, they
yeah,
cut them off. Yeah,
yeah.
um, and tried to punish them, and because some of the African distorted religions had played a big role in it. Um, it was it was, and because of the hardship that they had after the revolt, the governments, the successive Haitian governments of the Black Haitians were as bad or worse than the French had been to the population,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because they were so stressed and they were so um, yeah, they were just an outcast country, and their resources were limited, and the oppression continued, but it got worse from their own leaders,
Hmm.
and they were using voodoo and zombies, and I mean, it was the spirituality became so dark that was used to control the population that had originally allowed their liberation.
Hmm. But embargo,
Um,
it's terrible thing, I think, because in
it is a
like
terrible thing.
to some countries with like islands and they like dependent,
Hmm.
kind of, because
Absolutely, absolutely.
island countries. But even I heard about Germany, when this after First World War, they like signed,
Right?
okay, we will be friends with you, with US, with UK, French, and they like, no, we keep
No,
fighting,
no.
embargo,
No.
block, and like their starvation.
The
But
reparations they had to pay. Oh, it was
yeah.
amazing. Yeah, the punishment was just incredible.
What Bateson, yeah, wrote about this. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Versailles, Treaty of Versailles, Versailles,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was a
and
great essay and great talk. Yeah.
yeah, and now
Um,
and it's how it's like, how say per, perpetuated, or how now it's like in our epistemology, how like people in politics think, and you
it's
need like
become the on.
only,
It's
we
right.
can't like
It's
agree.
become the on. It's become the ontology of
Yeah,
of
yeah,
of,
yeah.
of
You need like
geopolitics.
you can't.
It's the norm. Yeah.
You can't believe anybody. You need like complete domination. With, you can't have
Hmm.
peace like we see like in Ukraine, in Israel, Palestine. So it's kind of,
Yeah.
can't people like talk? Mm, well,
And
and
we never
according,
turned on the recording of this, did we?
no, 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 no. I
No,
clicked.
this is just. Yeah, this is just us. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, no. I clicked in beginning, but now like I'm stopping, I think.